How you guys doing? I got a treat for you today. I'm going to try to defend another hated LEGO Star Wars set. This one's definitely by far the most recent. It's got a crazy amount of reviews on the LEGO website. You could probably guess what it is just based off what I'm saying here. And it really just shows how far LEGO thinks they could push fans. So we'll see how this goes. The set is the Juggernaut. The first complaint for this set is that it's just way too small compared to the previous Juggernauts, or clone turbo tanks. It gets a little confusing, but I think we're calling it a Juggernaut now. When looking at the exterior, it's pretty obvious this one's the smallest Juggernaut we ever got, but the interior is actually one of the most spacious when compared to the others. Looking at the 2016 one, the body mainly prioritized the space for the ATRT, and even if you wanted to put figs in it, there's so much Technic in there that there's really not a lot of space to do so. The 2010 version sees a little bit more room, where you kind of have like 4 Technic beams going across the body, but for the width, it's only 4 studs, while for the new Juggernaut, it's twice, being around 8 studs, so you can't put as many figs. And of course with the length, it is longer than the new one, so you could put more figs on there. But if you're storing that ATRT, it kind of gets in the way. I still think that the 2025 one can store more minifigs. The 2006 one's actually pretty similar with that base plate, so you could store almost the same amount of figs as the 2025 one. You just kind of have to take off a couple of those like tiles and bricks, but the 2025 and 2006 are pretty similar. The 2025 one definitely does struggle in terms of space, kind of from the front part where every other clone turbo tank, or sorry, Juggernaut, can hold 2 minifigs, but this one can only hold 1. And looking kind of at that cargo space area, kind of in between the body and the head, the new one doesn't really store anything, so that's also kind of a downside. I have to say though, for the piece count being so low on a Juggernaut, it still manages to have a lot of room for minifigs, which I think is quite an achievement. The second complaint is that it's not really that durable, and this is why I've been a little bit hesitant on buying this set. LEGO's been really good about like refining their building techniques over the years, and things have gotten just so strong. I mean, look at things at like the Skeleton cruise ship. That thing is pretty durable. But with this one, it seems like we're going backwards, so I can understand why people bring up this complaint. The important thing to note is that it generally doesn't fall apart unless you're really shaking it, but I think LEGO should still try to fix that. The issue that I have is where the area, I always forget if it's the front or back, it's so confusing to me, but there's a section where it uses like these older hinge pieces to kind of make the walls at an angle, which are just so easily able to fall apart, and that's really something a little kid could come up with. I don't know what LEGO's thought process was for that. It just doesn't work. Oops, I forgot, I'm supposed to be defending this set. Most people who are buying this, or at least people who could afford it, are probably adults, so a lot of them aren't really going to play with it too much, and they're probably just going to display it anyway, where it's not really going to get tested for durability that much, so that factor doesn't matter for some people. Fixing the overall body wouldn't be that hard too. If you look at a lot of videos, it doesn't really fall apart where it has that Technic part in the back, but the other side of the wall falls apart because it's just a bunch of bricks. So if they just put a Technic bar on that side too, it would probably be okay. And LEGO's fixed things like the Wally set where the neck was kind of loose, so I could totally see them fixing this, especially with the amount of people complaining about it. The third complaint is the Watchtower, but it's really never been good. If you look at the 2006 one, they literally just put like a jet engine on it and just called it a day. The 2010 doesn't even have a Watchtower, and the 2016 one's just a couple of pieces, so it's not like they were anything crazy back then. This one's definitely a little bit more polarizing too, because with the previous ones, it usually had some sort of like Technic thing where you could adjust the height and it would stay in place, but with the new one you can just remove it, which sometimes the easiest solution's the best solution, so I think it really just depends who you are on that one. But yeah, it's not the most flashy, but it gets the job done. The fourth complaint is the quality of the clone troopers. Of course, having waist capes on the Galactic Marines would be really cool, but I don't mind the print that much, and there's a lot of custom versions online that you can always get, so I don't think it's the biggest end of the world. You could just get it through them. And of course with the eyes, some people think that they should be green, and while that's technically accurate, I just don't know how well that would look in a minifig form, so I think I'm okay with the black version. They also have backpacks that just don't have any printing. Now, from everything I see, there's not really any like pictures of like the back of their, well, backpacks, so I think that's kind of a pass. I know there's other figures like Stormtroopers with Beskar, I forgot what they're called, but they do have printing on the back, but I really don't think it's a big deal for these guys. The helmets are also dual molded, which I think just looks super nice. It's a brand new piece. It's probably one of the reasons the price is a little higher, and also they're Galactic Marines, so of course we're gonna have to pay more to get it. In a lot of reviews, I also see that like sometimes the eyes are shifted down a little bit. I don't think that was LEGO's intent. I think that's more of like a production error, so you could always just go to customer support, which they're usually pretty helpful. So I don't think that's really a big of an issue. So I think we're okay on that end. Picara also gets a new helmet mold, which I think the mold looks really good. I just think somehow with the printing, they kind of made it look like he's a chipmunk or he's got too much food in his mouth. So I would have to agree on people there. I don't think he looks the best. I'm also not really a big Picara fan, so yeah, it doesn't really affect me too much. Ki-Adi-Mundi doesn't really look that different. He still looks pretty good with his big old dome, so not much to say there. I just think he's a pretty good fig. Maybe if they put like some laser bolt markings on his torso, but maybe that's a little too dark, but I mean, that would be pretty cool. We're getting stuff like the Spider-Man where he's got like the rips on his suit, so I think having a battle damage Ki-Adi-Mundi would be pretty sick, and I think more people would be inclined to get him. The fifth complaint, and yes, there's still more complaints about this set, it's just the overall exterior look, and I actually think the set really excels at the exterior look. It's got a lot more polished, tiled off look that I think the other Juggernauts didn't really do as well on since they were very studded. The new one has those really cool like sand blue pieces throughout the wheels, which is accurate in some pictures, and kind of like along the top part, which is not accurate, but you could always just take it off, kind of those big curved pieces. The window looks really nice too with that blue visor piece that's transparent. I think that's just such a nice take rather than like the older ones. They just kind of felt like these gray tile pieces that are transparent and they just don't look as good. You can actually see the figures in the new one, so I think that's pretty cool. And I think having a set with color contrast, despite it being really gray, I think just helps the set just overall look a lot better. Next up is something I think everyone can agree on. It's way too expensive. The set came out in, well, this year, 2025, has a piece count of 813 pieces and a price of $160. Looking at the price per piece, it's around 20 cents, which is really high considering that the golden standard is 10 cents per piece, so definitely an L there. But it does have a lot of large pieces, so let's look at the weight. The set weighs at around 1,327 grams, and if we do the math on that, the price per gram is around 12 cents per gram, when a good value for this kind of size of set would be around 20 cents per gram, so it's definitely quite under on that end. I see other people saying that the weight's more like 690 grams, which would make the price per gram at around 24 cents, which is a lot higher than 20, so I'm not really sure who's right on that end. The last argument for this set I feel is a little bit nitpicky, and it's regarding the guns. For the guns on the side, this one, it has it on the bottom, when the guns should really be more on the top, which that's sort of an easy fix though. You could just switch out the tile piece. But if you look at every other Juggernaut, it doesn't even have side guns, so this one's technically more accurate. However, if you look at the front guns, you can see that every other version has it where this one doesn't have it, so I feel like that sort of balances each other out. But yeah, that one was definitely the hardest to defend. I think it has some good positive attributes, but I would still agree with the majority that I don't think you guys should buy this set at its full value. I'm definitely not buying it at its full value. It has to have a pretty big sale if any of us were to really get it, so I would still support the boycotting of this set as I am doing. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and take care.